Hello, everyone. My name is Kevin Sánchez, and I am one of the students of English Didactics 2. Well, for the first evaluated activity, we had been requested to create a lesson plan and also to develop the lesson plan with real students. Well, in my case, I decided to work alone, so I am going to work on basically the whole class. So let me start sharing with you my lesson plan here. Let me share it with you. Well, basically here is pretty much the lesson plan that I have created for this specific class, which is aimed at teaching listening. So yes, the focus of the class is on teaching listening. So yeah, that is like the main skill, right? Listening. As you know, in English, we have four different macro skills, but I think that in this course, we're going to design a lesson plan, and also we're going to create a class for each of the macro skills that we have in English. So first of all, we have started working on this one, which is listening activity. So let me share with you the lesson plan here. So the topic that was assigned to me by the tutor, it was abilities. That is like the main topic for this class. The learners level, they are A1 according to the CEFR, so they are A1. So in this specific class, I have over 14 students. I don't have too many students. So yes, 14 students are the class, right? There are 14 students in this specific class. Also, the class length. Well, as usual, the class lasts 90 minutes. However, this class is going to last only 45 minutes. So the lesson plan and everything has been planned for a class of 45 minutes. So now let me give you a brief description of the students. Well, I am going to work in an institution. Actually, this institution, it is a school that is public, okay? That is public. That means that the students, they don't have to pay anything to study there. So the education is totally free for them. So as I mentioned before, I am going to work with 14 students. They are the students that I will be teaching in the class. The grade that they are studying the eighth grade. The name of the institution is Complejo Educativo Mercedes La Ceiba. That is the name of the institution. So basically, they are taking this class because it is mandatory, right? By the Minister of Education says that all students that are studying in the public and also private education, they have to study English. So that is like the main reason why they are taking this class. The age of these students, they are between 13 or others are 14 years old. So yes, the range goes between 13 and 14 years old. And once again, the class will be tailored in their current tailored to the current English level of the students, right? So in this case, as I mentioned previously, it is A1. So the class, it will be focused on this specific level. Also, we will follow the guidelines provided by the Minister of Education. That means that I have used the syllabus, right? I have used the syllabus provided by the Minister of Education. So yes, that's pretty much the content that I'm going to follow here. So also let me present with you the objectives, right, for this class. Well, for these objectives, in the document that the coordinator shared with us, well, she said that we have to design smart objectives. So for this class, I have decided to create three different smart objectives, and those are the objectives for the class. At the end of this class, students will be able to talk about their and other people abilities properly. So I'm pretty sure that they will make mistakes because I will try to drill the students just to avoid mistakes, right, in the class. The second objective says at the end of the class, the students will be able to successfully put into practice their listening skills by answering a quiz related to the topic. Well, in the while listening activity, we will practice listening, but also once the students have practiced the listening activity, we will work on a quiz. They will, first of all, they will have to pay attention to the conversation in the quiz. And because I'm sorry, the conversation in the listening activity, because then they have to demonstrate their knowledge, how much they were able to understand from the conversation, because they will have to answer around 5 different questions. And also, I am going to use an interactive platform to do this. So the last but not least, I have here the other objective, which is at the end of the class, students will have the opportunity to grasp the target language by working on different activities. So as I mentioned, that the main topic of this specific class is abilities. And also another thing that is very important here is that the class is focused on listening. But in this class, we're going to cover a lot. When we talk about abilities, I'm going to share with my students some useful vocabulary that is going to be they are going to use it a lot here in the class, but not only in the class. So if they want to use it in real life conversations, they can also use it because it is something that it is very useful for them. Also, I am going to share with my students some grammar structures, right? Well, in this case, as we know, the main grammar topic that we use to teach to talk about our abilities, it is the modal verb can. So yes, I'll be teaching my students the modal verb can in the affirmative form, negative form, and the interrogative form. So basically, those are the objectives for the class. Let me share with you the content here. So the language functions, it will be modal verb of abilities can. So as I stated first, that will be like the grammar topic, right? Can. Language structures, it will be describing abilities following the appropriate sentence order. That means that because once they have worked on the while listening activity, they will perform a short conversation. So that's why it will be mandatory for them to use the appropriate sentence order when they are speaking and when they are making use of the modal verb can. Now, yeah, let me see here. Listening skill methodology. Let me share with you here the techniques that I'm going to use, the procedures that we are going to follow, the time and material. So the time that is assigned to each activity, it will be stated over here. So as you know, as teachers, we always have to start with the warm-up activity. So we're going to start working on the warm-up activity. That is going to be basically the first activity of the class. Okay, the technique that I'm going to use for this specific part is that I am going to use an online website that is called Worldwide Online. Well, there are many websites, but I decided to make use of this specific website for the warm up activity. Um, in the last part of the document, I have added a couple of images, right, related to the annex, right, to almost everything that I will be using in the class. Let me explain to you how the warm-up activity works. Well, it says here that the teacher asks different questions to students in which they will have an introduction to abilities such as what can he or she do. So basically, they will have to guess, right? I will project to my students some specific images, and they have to tell me what is that specific ability. So that is pretty much what they will have to do. Um, so the example below is just one example of the question that might be asked to the students. For example, this one, right? What can he or she do, or what is his or her ability, right? So that is just one example of what is going to be used. The time and material, well, basically in English, in didactic planning, I learned that when we work on the warm-up activity, the time that is like properly for this activity is only 5 minutes, no more than 5 minutes. I remember that the professor from that specific subject, she told me that when we work on the warm-up activity, it should be only 5 minutes. The material that I am going to use, it's going to be I'm going to use a computer, internet, and also I am going to use a projector to teach this to my students. You might be wondering, why am I going to use internet? Well, as I mentioned, the website Worldwall is an online website, so I have to make use of internet. It doesn't allow me to work offline. No, I have to have an internet connection. Well, that is pretty much like the warm-up activity. Now let's continue working on the other part, which is pre-listening activity. Well, in the pre-listening activity, you might be wondering which are the resources that I'm going to use, what are the techniques for this specific part. Well, and let me tell you that this part, it's pretty simple. It's not like too complex. Well, the technique is that I am going to use, I have already created a generally presentation. So I am going to start projecting this presentation to my students so that they can see all the content that I have prepared for them. Now let me give you a brief description about this part. At this stage, the teacher introduces authentic vocabulary such as verbs related to the topic of abilities and correct structures for students to correctly use the topic. Students will have to learn and repeat the different vocabulary words provided by the teacher and ask questions about the content that they are studying. Yes. Well, so as I mentioned, I remember that some minutes ago I told you that um in this part, I am going to share with my students some useful vocabulary that is going to be very important for this lesson. Yes, I am going to share here in this part. I am going to share right the vocabulary words, some verbs that are properly for the topic, and also I am going to share the grammar structure, right? So that my students they have a better picture on the topic, so so they can easily use the modal verb can, right, to express their abilities. And I will teach the structures, right? For example, the affirmative form, negative form, and also the interrogative form. My purpose of teaching this specific part of grammar is that because as I mentioned at the end of the basically in the last it's almost in the last stage of the class, my students they will be required to perform a conversation, so they will have to speak, right? So that's why when they are speaking, it's properly that they are using the correct grammar structure so that we avoid mistakes, right? Yeah, so that is pretty much the pre-listening activity. Well, here in this part, in the time that is a lot, the time that will that is allotted for this specific activity is only 10 minutes. Yes, I am going to teach these things in 10 minutes. The resources that I am going to use in this specific part, it's once again it's internet connection. So generally it's a software that works online, but also it works offline with a premium version. Yes, you have the opportunity to download your presentation and you can work offline. Yeah, but in this case, I am going to work online because in the school there is internet connection, right? So there won't be any problem for me to teach this, right? Or for me to make use of the presentation of generally. Also, I am going to use a computer. So in this case, a computer is mandatory, right? So because I will be using a projector, so then the computer it's mandatory to have it. Once again, also the resource is generally right. That is going to be the software that I am going to be using in order to design the presentation, right? And last but not least is the projector, right? So I will have the presentation on my computer, but I will have to make use of the projector so that my students can see the images, right, the slides, right, of the presentation. Then we're going to work on the while listening activity. Here in the while listening activity, we are going to basically put into practice the skill that is listening. So in this case, the techniques that I am going to be using, they are pretty much. Yeah, so as I was telling you the techniques that I am going to use for this specific part, is that I am going to, first of all, I am going to use YouTube. Well, let me tell you that in this part, the audio that I am going to project for my students so that they can listen to the audio, it is an audio that it has been created by me. So I haven't used any other resource from another teacher, or I haven't used the resource from another website. No, this activity belongs to me. I have created the conversation, then I have to create the video, then I have to add the audio, right, to the video. Yeah, so I am the owner of this activity. Also, then we're going to use Nearpod. I am going to, basically, I have already designed the quiz on Nearpod. So in my classes, I love adding different resources so that my students can have the opportunity to practice their abilities with different resources, because I consider that when we have a class and we use all the time the same resources, I think that at some point the class can be a little bit boring, because the students say, oh no, at this part we know that we are going to work on this specific software. So that's why I like to use a mix of different resources in my class, because I consider that also that is another interactive way for them to stay like motivated in the class, because they will know that they will have to compete, right, in order to get the best result. Well, let me now explain to you right here the while listening activity. So it says, at this stage, the teacher will make use of a video in which the people are having a conversation related to their abilities. Yes. So here I am going to play a video that has been created by me, and also I have posted this video on YouTube. So I am going to play the video to my students. Also, I will explain the instructions to my students so that they will know what they will have to do once they have listened to the audio. Um, Students will have to pay careful attention to the video, because after watching the video, they will have to put into practice their listening skills by answering the quiz provided by the teacher. So in this case, the quiz, it's already designed in Nearpod. So we're going to work on Nearpod. Now here, the time that is allotted for the while listening activity, it's going to be 10 minutes. That is going to be pretty much the time that is allotted for this specific stage. The resources that I'm going to use is, once again, internet connection. As we know, right, YouTube and Nearpod, they are softwares that they work with internet access. If we don't have internet access, then it's kind of impossible for us to work on this activity. So, but in my case, yes, since I told you before, in the school where I will teach this specific class, there is internet connection, so there won't be any problem. So I'm going to use once again a computer, because in the computer I will have to use the computer to play and project the video to my students. The projector, it will be so useful. Also, I'm going to use the video, right? The video that I designed. So I am going to make use of my video. No, I'm in this case, it's not going to be Wordwall, it's going to be Nearpod. The quiz is on Nearpod. That is going to be the quiz. Well, now let me share with you the post-listening activity. Well, the post-listening activity, it's almost like the last part of the class. However, it is not. It is not the last part, but yes, it's almost. Okay, here, the technique that I'm going to use is a general presentation. I'm going to, well, basically in the same presentation that I have already planned, yes, I'm going to use that presentation for this specific part too. So it says here, at this stage, students will have learned the model verb count and practiced it. The teacher will provide some questions for the students to discuss about their abilities and family abilities to continue practicing the topic. So the questions that my students are going to discuss are the ones that are stated here in this document. For example, what are your abilities? So Since I had 14 students in the class, I am going to divide my students into groups of two. Each student will take turns asking and answering the question. For example, yes, since I will divide the class into into groups of two. So for example, one student is going to ask the question, what are your abilities to the other student? So the other student's job is to answer the question. Once the student has answered the question, the student will have to ask the same question to the other student so that they can both perform the conversation. So what can you play any musical instrument? Can your mother drive a car? Can your brother ride a motorcycle? So those questions are just examples for this activity, yes? So it says, right, that we're going to practice a conversation here in this part. The time allotted for this part, it's going to be 15 minutes. Well, in this case, I'm going to use the resources. I am going to use internet, projector, computer, generally presentation. Yes, because in the generally presentation, I will be projecting the questions to my students, so they are able to see what are the questions that we're going to be discussing in the class. Yeah, basically, and also if I notice that for example, I will be like I will be listening to I will be listening to each student in the class, and if I notice that a student, for example, says I can to speak, I am going to provide feedback to my students so that I can let my students know, hey, no, you know what, that is not properly, you should say I can speak. I can speak, right? That is the proper way that you have to say, because the modal verb can is not followed by to. Okay, so that is a mistake. Please don't say that. So that will be like the way in which I will provide feedback to my students. Now, the last part of the class is going to be the wrap-up activity. Well, and in the wrap-up activity, the technique that I'm going to use is going to be verbal interactive activity. So it will be like an activity like the activity from the beginning. So I am going to make use once again of a verbal activity. So you might be wondering what are we going to do here in the wrap-up activity. So it says the teacher will provide a quiz related to the vocabulary studied in class so that he or she can monitor the progress of the students, right? Yeah, for example, sorry, if there's a woman teacher, it says she, right? But in this case, I am the one that I'm going to develop this class. So I will be able to monitor their progress, because in this part, I will be testing how much they are able to remember from the previous stages of the class. So for the wrap-up activity, we will only work with 5 minutes. Yes, so in 5 minutes, we're going to work on this interactive activity. And the resources that I'm going to use, they are computer, internet connection, oral quiz, and a projector. So those are pretty much like the resources that I will have to use in my class. Also, let me share with you the contingency plan. The contingency plan. Well, as teachers, we have to be aware that many things can happen during the development of the class. So a contingency plan for this lesson is described below. Well, let me tell you something here. I remember that in didactic planning, in our second semester here in the university, we were asked to perform an interview and ask a couple of questions to an English teacher. And I remember that when I asked about the contingency plan to a teacher from a school, she told me that it's very important to have a contingency plan because we don't know what is going to happen in the class, right? So we plan, right? But sometimes what we have planned, it doesn't go as we want, right? Or as we wish. She told me that that for her that is called one of the magic moments, right? Because unexpected things happen. For example, she told me, yes, Kevin, we have to be aware of many things. That's why the contingency plan, it's applies for us as teachers. For example, Kevin, in my case, she told me that sometimes I have to deliver the class, but when I enter the class, suddenly there are some people from there are some other students, right, who come from the university to teach a workshop or to provide a workshop, um or they will have to do something else, or they yeah, so they will have to do different activities, Kevin, and in this way it is not possible for me to deliver the class properly. Or probably she told me sometimes we have a couple, just for example, the class is planned for 90 minutes, and sometimes she told me that they only have let's say from the 90 minutes that they have, they only work 30 minutes or 45 minutes. So that's why she told me that it's very important to have a contingency plan. So in this case, the contingency plan that I have decided to create in this part is this one. In case there is no internet connection, the teacher should have downloaded the presentation for the class. Well, in this case, yes, that is something that I have to be aware, right? Because sometimes as we plan, but we plan something, but it doesn't go as we want. So yes, in this case, I will have to download the presentation, and I will have the presentation ready. So as I told you, when you have a premium generally account, it allows you to download the presentation. But when you don't have a premium account, so then it's impossible for you to download it, because it is like mandatory to have a premium account in order to download it. So in my case, yes, I paid the generally premium account, so I have access to to download to this presentation. The video should be downloaded. Yes, I am going to download the video. Yeah, because if the internet is not working, so yes, I will have access to the presentation. But then when we talk about the video, what happened next? Well, yeah, so that's why I am going to download the video. So yes, as we know, also YouTube requires a premium account if you want to download a video. But in this case, as I am the owner of the video, I uploaded the video to YouTube. So I have access to the video without downloading it, because I was the owner of the video, so I have the video in my computer. There won't be any problem to me. Have extra practices in case you have some additional time. Yes. Yeah, for example, this is something that we have to know, that we have to have some extra practices. Let's imagine that in the last part, which is here, which is the post listening activity. Let's imagine that I planned 3 questions or 4 questions, but and I decided to give to this specific stage 10 minutes, but my students they only work with these questions in 5 minutes. Then with the other 5 minutes, what do I do? So yes, that's why it's very important to have some additional practices so that the students can practice. An audio device should be available in case the audio of the computer is not working properly. Yes, that is another thing that we have to keep in mind, right? Yes, so we have to have like an MP3 or something like that, so that we can play the audio to our students. So the annexes, right, to the annexes of the annexes, right, for the material of the class, will be projected here in this part. So surely let me share with you some of them here. For example, here you have like the warm-up image, right? So this is pretty much how the word well activity works, right? So the first question says, what can he do? So the students will have to see the picture, and they will have to tell me what is the ability. For example, we can see a man that is like playing a guitar. So then what is the ability? So in this case, it will be he can play the guitar. That will be properly. I have decided to create 13 questions for this part. So, and also you see here that my name is provided here. So I am the owner of the activity. So I didn't take activities from other source. No, those are my own activities. So it says Kevin OS here, right? Abilities warm up Kevin OS. And also here we can find the access, right, for the World activity. And basically, in this same document here at the end, you will be able to find some additional images, right? And also you will have access to the presentation. Yeah, now shortly, let me start sharing with you, right? I am going to develop the class. Okay, now yes, I will be developing the class. This is an English class. The grade for the students, it is 8th grade. The topic that we're going to study today, it is abilities. That is going to be the topic for the class. My name is Teacher Kevin. Yeah, so that is my name, Teacher Kevin. You can call me Kevin or teacher, right? You have two different options. So now here, let me share with you the agenda. The agenda that I am going to develop in this class. So in here in the agenda, it is stated all the activities that will take place in my class. For example, as I mentioned, guys, I am going to the class objectives. So I have already told you what are the objectives, right, for this specific class. They are three objectives, and they have been designed using the SMART criteria, right? The second part is the warm-up activity. In the warm-up activity, we will have like an introduction to the topic. We will see a couple of images and we're going to guess what is possible, the ability of the person. Then we're going to work on the pre-listening activity. In the pre-listening activity, I am going to give you guys some useful vocabulary words. I am also going to give you the structure that you have to use. In this case, we're going to be making use of the modal verb can. So I am going to teach you the structures of the modal verb can, such as the affirmative form, negative form, and the interrogative form. So I am going to be teaching you these specific parts. In the while listening activity, we're going to listen to a video and we're going to listen to the audio. Yes, we're going to listen to the audio, and you will have to pay a lot of attention here in this part because it will in this part later on you will have to work on a quiz where you will be demonstrating your knowledge. Then we have the post listening activities, which is basically we're going to perform a conversation related to the topic. And just to finish with the class, we're going to work on the wrap up activity, which is in this part, what we're going to do is pretty simple and easy. We're just going to review what we have learned during the class. Okay, students, welcome to the warm-up activity. Yes, are you ready to start working on the warm-up activity? Yes, I hope so. Okay, we're going to start working on the warm-up activity. In here, in the warm-up activity, you have to tell me what is the ability of the person. Yes, that is what you have to do. Okay, let's start. Okay, good. So please see the image provided here in my screen and tell me what is the ability. We can see a man, we can see a guitar. Yes, we can see a man and a guitar. Those are the clues. What would be the ability? He can speak Chinese. He can say hello in Japanese. He can play the piano, or he can play the guitar. What is the correct option? Yes, correct. He can play the guitar. Yes, excellent. Very good. Yes, it is. He can play. I'm sorry, give me a short second, guys. I made a mistake. Yes, it is. Here, number one is he can play the guitar. Correct. Okay. Number two, what can she do? I made a mistake here, but we can see that she has a mic. So she is singing, so that the ability is that she can sing. Correct, she can sing. Okay, what can Kevin do? Kevin can do exercise. Kevin can practice English phonetics. Kevin can write in English. What is the ability of Kevin? Yes, correct. Kevin can write in English. Correct. Perfect. Good. Okay. Can Kevin drive a car? Look at the picture. There are two cars and there's an accident. Yes, he can, or no, he can't. Tell me. Yes, correct. No, because we see an accident, right? So no, he can't drive a car. Yes, correct. Excellent. Very good. Now, let's continue with number 4. Can Peppa jump? Can Peppa jump? Yes, she can. No, she can't. Look here. Hmm. Yes, correct. Yes, she can. Yes, yes, she can. That was correct, Mario. Perfect. Okay, now the question is going to be for Mary. Please, Mary, help me. Look the picture here and tell me, can I use my cell phone in class? Yes, you can, or no, you can't. It is not allowed. Yes? Okay, yes. Yeah, that is a nice point of view. Yes, no, you can, right? In the class, you have to stay focused on the content of the class. You shouldn't use your mobile. Correct. No, you can't. That is totally correct. Can he build houses? Can he build houses? Yes, he can. No, he can't. Hmm. Tell me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, correct. Yes, yes, he can, right? Yes, he can build houses. Perfect. Excellent. Okay, so basically that was like the warm-up activity, guys. Now we're going to work on another part. Now we're going to work on the pre-listening activity. In here, guys, I'm going to give you some useful vocabulary words and also some grammar structures that you have to keep in mind. Okay, first, let's start working on the vocabulary part, okay? So, please do me a favor, listen first, listen, and then repeat, yes? Okay, the first one, fly. Yes, correct, it's fly, good. Cook, excellent, yes, cook. Sing, yes, let's imagine that this is a microphone. Sing, correct, yes, sing. Dance, yeah, that is totally correct, yes, it is dance. Now, swim, great. Surf, good. Skate, good. Roller skate, excellent, very good. That was the first vocabulary part. Now, repeat once again. Fly, good. Jump, jump, run, swim, climb, read, spell, count, 1, 2, 3, count, write, write, good. Sing, sing, okay. Draw a butterfly. Correct, yes. See, see, correct, yes, it is see, perfect. Here, here, yes, excellent, it's here. Touch, touch, correct, yes. Smell, yes, it smells delicious. Smell, yes. Taste, no, it is salty, I don't like. Okay, that was the vocabulary. Now the grammar note. Okay, so here in the grammar note, we have different things, right? Remember, I'm going to teach you the use first. First, the modal verb can is used to talk about ability or possibility, and also to give permission. In the affirmative form, we have, this is the structure that you have to follow. Subject, modal verb can, verb, and complement. For example, I can speak English. You can ride a bike. Negative. Okay, subject. You cannot or can't. A verb and complement. Example, you can't speak French. You can't. You can't ride a horse. You can't ride a horse. Well, in the question form, you have to use first the modal verb. Can, then the subject, then the verb, plus the complement. Please don't forget the question mark. It's very important. For example, can they speak Spanish? Can you speak Spanish? Can you drive a car? Can you draw? Yes, that is the question form. Now we're going to work on while listening activity. Okay, so please pay attention. In this activity, guys, we are going to, I'm going to play a video. Pay attention to the video because later on you will have to answer a quiz, okay? Let me project the video. Listening activity designed by Kevin Sánchez. Instructions. Pay attention to the next conversation because after the listening activity, you will demonstrate your comprehension of the activity. Conversation. Sarah, hi Tom, how are you? Hi Sarah, I'm good, thank you. How about you? Sarah, I'm great, thanks. Hey, did you know we have an English test next week? Yeah, I heard about it. I'm a bit nervous. Don't worry, you'll do fine. Speaking of tests, what can you do well? I can play football and draw. How about you, Sarah? Well, I can't play sports very well, but I can sing and cook. Tom, that's cool. I wish I could sing. What else can you do? Sarah, I can also solve puzzles. I love challenging myself with Sudoku puzzles. Tom, oh, I can those, but I can fix things. I can repair almost anything around the house. Sarah, that's a useful skill to have. Hey, we have a quite different we have quite different abilities, don't we? Yeah, but that what makes up unit, right? Absolutely. Okay, guys, that was the listening activity. I hope you have paid a lot of attention. Now we're going to work on a quiz, okay? We're going to work on a quiz. Let me see. Yes, we're going to start. Okay, this part, just give me a 30 second. I am going to share with you this activity. So let me see, let me share the link here. Okay, let me see. Okay, so in this part, I am going to share, guys, with you through the WhatsApp group that we have, the link for you to practice in this activity. So, okay, you have the link to the quiz. Please work here, guys. Here you have to introduce your name, only your name, yes. Once you have introduced your name, you have to select a character. This website is very interactive because it allows you to use different characters, yes. For example, here you can select the character that you want. Here, if you want to use a frog, a bird, a penguin. So in this case, I'm going to use a penguin. And once you have selected the character, please click on join game, join game, and in here in my screen it's going to appear, you are going to appear here, and I will be able to see you. Yes, I will be able to see you. Okay, so you see here, you appear here, right? So I am going to start the game, and you have to answer some questions. Okay, so for example, here is the timer. Okay, what can Tom do well? Sing, play football, or cook? Okay, he can play football. Okay, play football. Let's see. Yes, that was correct. He can play football. Excellent. Let's have another one. What can Sarah do well? Fix things, solve puzzles, or sing? Yes, it is solve puzzles. Okay, good. Yes, it is solve puzzles. Okay, now, guys, let me share with you here this part. Okay, so we have worked on the quiz time. You did a great job in the quiz time. Now we're going to work on post-listening activity. Here in the post-listening activity, we're going to have a conversation, okay? So in this class, we had 14 students. Please divide the class into 14 students. Okay, divide the class into groups of 2, please. Okay, now please follow these instructions. You have to ask the question to your classmate, and your classmate have to answer the question, and then the classmate is going to ask you the same question. Okay, you have to work on the 4 questions that we have. Okay. Okay, guys, excellent. You did it really nice in the speaking practice. You learned a lot. Now we're going to work on the wrap-up activity. Yes, we're going to work on the wrap-up activity. So once again, here in the wrap-up activity, you can see that the activity belongs to me because it says Kevin OS abilities wrap-up. Okay, now here you have to guess the ability. You see an icon. So what is the ability? Speak, work, or write? Yes, in this case, yes, Mario, tell me. Yes, it is speak. Correct. The ability is speak. Guess the ability. You have a notebook, you have a girl. Write, watch, or read. Yes, Melly, tell me. Yes, it is read. Melly, you did it great. Yes, excellent. Perfect. Okay. Okay, the last one. Guess the ability. Predict the future or predict the past. Yes, the ability is to predict the future. You did it great, guys. You did it perfect in this class. Okay, now guys, thank you so much for having joined this class. It was really nice to see you guys. You did your best in the class, and I can't wait to see you in our next class. So I hope to see you then. See you then. Bye-bye.